But then I would like to introduce our guest today. And it's a special, very special honor for me that we have Astan Meyer with us, aka Astan KA. And Astan is an artist. You're many things, actually. And that's the beauty of this lecture series. So that's exactly people like you that I would like to invite to share about their practice, because you're an artist, you're a performer, you're a singer, you're a rapper, you're a songwriter, you're an actress, and an event curator. So you do a lot of things. You wear a lot of different hats. You're also the lead singer of a band called the Asphalt Djelis, I hope I pronounced it correctly. And you're also a member of Sonic Intervention, which is kind of described as ancient future groove. And you're co-founder of Cult Sub, hopefully correctly pronounced, which is a kind of cultural event focusing on afro-hybrid artistic content and ancestral knowledge. So that's all very promising. And I would like you all to give Astan a very warm welcome applause.
Okay, is it? Oh yeah. Thank you so much. How are you doing? Cool. I'm very happy to be here tonight. It means a lot. Thank you for coming. I hope it's going to be inspiring for you. Please excuse my missing left arm on the picture. That's something I still need to master. But at the same time, I can say that I'm still becoming the best version of myself every day, so I'm still loading. And it's very beautiful to find myself in front of you, in front of the future. Everything that you're studying right now, every information that you're getting will help you, hopefully, to make a better world. And also, I want to tell you all congratulations to make it to the UDK or to any university that you're studying. In 2015, I applied at the UDK for the musical section, and I got rejected, sadly, but no bad feeling. I think I was just not ready. But it's pretty funny nowadays to find myself here doing a presentation. It's kind of the end of a circle and a new cycle starting. To each his own road, to each his own path, to each his dream, to each his destiny. I want to start by saying that no matter what form of learning that we choose, no matter which path we take in our life, what is important remains our authenticity in the choice that we're going to make. And it might be a little bit cheesy to say that, but try to be yourself as much as possible and try to discover who you are, because nobody can do better than you. Nobody will ever be better than you at doing you, right? So I just wanted to make this little reminder. So let's start. This is a picture of my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Meyer. Those people, when you look at them, they might have nothing in common, but they decided to love each other. Over 30 years now, they had my brother, they had me, and they did a great work. My dad actually comes from Alsace, and my mom comes from Bamako, Mali, so it's really like opposite places. But I love how they raised my brother and I, because we are mixed race, we have a double culture, but they were able to take us to Africa since we were very young, and my surroundings was black and white. I was always accepted by the black community, I was always accepted by the white community. My home was always filled with like people from all around the world. Therefore, I grew up with a very strong identity. And I'm very thankful for the work they did, because in so many of my work nowadays, how I bear this big message of my definition of universality. I think we are all different, we're same but different, and we need to celebrate those differences. I remember when I was in Mao Park at this karaoke that used to happen in Mao Park some years ago. There was this huge karaoke, and every time you sing, the host will ask you where you were from. And I will never forget this couple that was holding hands, and the girl said, I'm from Israel, and the guy said, I'm from Palestine. And they were so in love, and they started singing. And at that time, I was like, well, Berlin is really the place to be. And I'm very focusing on this in my work of, that love, at the end of the day, is the greatest force in the universe, and it doesn't really matter where you're from. So we're gonna go, I just make a little, I gathered many projects, like all the projects that I remember the most and that I love the most from everything that I do through my singing, my acting career, my mover career, performer, curator, and also stylist for the brand KASAPIO, which I'm actually wearing today. Hope you like it. Many people told me, oh, you should focus in one thing if you really want to become a master at it, which I get. I see friends of mine that are only singer, they're already way ahead in the career, but it feels that my spirit needs to find its fuel in different places in order to be content. And honestly, one discipline can always nourish the other one. Like the training, a singer can take the training of an actor in order to break the wall between the audience and the performer. Because you can be a great singer, but you can be very shy when you come on stage. So the acting practices can maybe help you to overcome this fear. Like the singing practices can help the actor to project better on stage. And for example, I'm very fascinated by dancers, by professional dancers. Yeah?
Closer to the wall than your face.
Yeah? Like this?
Beautiful.
Yeah? Okay. And I'm very fascinated by dancers' work because they are very aware of their body, which makes them very sensitive and very present. And being present is not something that you do by trying to find it when you concentrate. It's a connection that you need to make with your body. I'm still learning actually to do that, and this will be useful for any type of performer. So let's start with the singing part. So as Lucas beautifully said, I'm a singer, rapper, a songwriter. I love hip-hop, I love drill, I love trap, I also love jazz. I developed a concept that's called gangsta jazz, but I love also afro-electronic sound, trip-hop. Yeah, I try a lot of different styles. My solo project is called Astan KA. This is the cover, so this is a still from a music video that was directed by Sami Grill. The song Dang Dang was produced by a Berlin-based producer, Unterschi, Aronotinion and Brass. And this picture is a still of the music video. I was looking for a place to put the font and I put it on my eyes. And after that I realized that we cannot see the eyes of anybody. Everybody either has their eyes hidden, have their head turned, or closed eyes. And now the font is hiding my eyes. And then I was like, that's crazy because we didn't make this on purpose, but it really fit to the story of this video at this moment, because we are in a bar and we're flirting with darkness after taking drugs and alcohol, whatever. And the eyes reveal the soul. And it's very interesting that all the eyes are hidden now because we are blinded. We're blinded by everything that we let come inside of you, inside of us. But I like this kind of like anecdote because sometimes things make sense afterwards. You know, you just create something and then you're like, oh, actually, that makes sense with the initial idea. Charcoal is my first independent single. The song was produced by Unterschi, and the video was directed by Kimani Schumann. Is a friend of mine who told me when I was pregnant, I would like to film you in the street of Kreuzberg, rapping, holding your baby. And I loved the idea, so I just made a song for the video. Just for Dang Dang, actually. The director, Sami Grill, saw the previous video, Charcoal, and he was like, oh, I want to work with you. So I made a song for the video because I love the work of video. I love to illustrate sound. And yeah, I think it's very inspiring. And this is my beautiful daughter. Love is my latest music video. It's not part of my solo project. It's part of a South Korean producer. She's called Bang Young-hyun, and I'm featured on one of her tracks. And we never met, we did everything through Instagram, but I love the song so much that I was like, let me do the music video for it. And it's the third time actually that I make a music video when I'm only featured on the project, because yeah, when I'm inspired by the sound, then automatically I want to, you know, you listen to a music and you see so many things happening, so I like to team with a good team give life to my thoughts. And I'm very thankful because Berlin is a city where collaboration is really a thing. A lot of people are able to help you and work for free in order to construct a good portfolio. So I'm very thankful for that. And the video came out on Anaïs early this year, and it's the only platform that I wanted, so I'm very happy about that. This is, again, in the clip, the same music video, Love. So in this part, we are naked in a studio. And this aspect is a little bit more Afrofuturistic. It's an aesthetic that I really like. We shot this on the Futura House. Some of you know the Futura House in Berlin? You know? Okay, cool. So the Futura House was designed by Finnish architect Matti Suronen, of which fewer than 100 were built during the late 60s and early 70s. You can find many in Europe and in the United States. And the one in Berlin, this woman found it in the DDR. It's massive, but it was abandoned somehow, and she became the owner of it. And a friend made me aware of the Futura House, and I always wanted to shoot something in, but I have no idea. So when the song came up, I was like, okay, that would be a great idea. And Cora Geisler, who is the owner, accepted that we shot inside of it. She didn't want us to shoot outside because she didn't want it at the time that people find its location. But then my partner, with Exist on the picture, he found the Futura House of Paris. The Futura House of Paris is orange, and it's located in Marché Dauphine in Saint-Ouen. And we could shoot outside of it. So we shoot inside in the Berlin one and outside of the Paris one. That was very nice. And the costume that we are wearing, they're made of plastic, of tapes, of cassettes, of CDs, yeah, and of bottles. They were made by a Burkinabé Berlin-based tailor, Suleiman Maré, but they were actually inspired by the work of Jagal Dulci, who is a Dakar-based fashion designer. I found his work in 2019, and I was like, oh my God, this is great, this is incredible, this is so amazing. But actually, this underground fashion scene is very common in cities like Dakar and in Kinshasa, in Congo. There is a documentary that I really recommend. It's called Astan KA. It's a Frenchman that lived in Kinshasa for a very long time. And he made this documentary of artists. Like, Congo is actually the richest country in the world, but all its resources are taken, you know, because they harvest the coltan and the cobalt, which we use in our phone, in electronic card, in computers, you name it. So the people are very poor there, but they are in Kinshasa. Some of the best artists that I ever saw. They are incredible performers. They perform on the streets, and they make clothes out of trash. There is this collective called Kinak that you see in this documentary. They make clothes out of broken mirrors, out of caoutchouc, and they just perform and they walk in the street for no reason. I mean, sometimes it's just for the sake of art or just to like spread a message, but it's not for money or for anything. So yeah, I think it's very beautiful. It's really making art out of chaos, basically. When I perform, I like to use those two machines. There's the RC202 from Boss and the VT4 from Roland. The RC202 is an incredible loop machine with incredible effect. The Roland one is just a voice machine effect, but with vocoder, formant, auto-tune, and each effect have like 4 variations of it. They're really, really nice. I love to use it. They always take my sound to a more like edgy kind of vibe. So yeah, it's really hard to perform without them. This picture was a performance at Tegel, actually. The old airport in Tegel is transforming itself to a very nice, creative and party place. And it was very nice to witness that in some part of the city, Berlin is surviving the gentrification. Sonic Interventions. I don't know if some of you heard of this collective. So this is the collective I'm part of. We started in 2020 on the Temple of Feld. We were doing jam session, and it was very relieving. It's like the energy is so massive because we are so many musicians from all around the world. We go from free jazz to Latin jazz to Afrobeat to so many different genres. And what makes the strength of this group, as I say, is that we are so diverse, and people that used to come to our session felt some sort of healing, actually. They say that, well, this is the kind of music that directly speaks to my guts, And I'm very thankful for this collective. I learned a lot. Now we are a real band. We have an album coming out next year, and we're also preparing a tour. And we will be playing at Jazz Montas in Frankfurt on the 20th of November. Asphalt Djelis is another project of mine with Keshu and Arawak. This is definitely also like a futuristic folklore kind of band. This is a picture of when we perform at the Sonnenallee, the abandoned gas station. It's a great group for your next rave or your next festival. We go now to the acting part of my career. So I act mainly in commercials. I haven't done any featured film now, but it's really my direction, my goal. At the TV show, and I did one short film. This was a TV show, Love Addicts, directed by Arabella Barch, who is the same director that directs my music video Love. And in this TV show, I play actually a singer and a curator and a rapper. So it's actually what I am in real life. So this really helped me to get the role. It was a Warner Bros. Production, and it's available on Amazon. Indigo is an Afro-surrealist poetic short film that was directed by German-Ugandan director Mona Okula-Obua, and the actress playing with me is Carmela Chako, who is a Congolese-German actress. It was a very beautiful experience to shoot this. I played the role of actually a mixed-race German girl that don't know anything about her African ancestry, but through a braiding session, will actually find her ancestry. It's a very beautiful short film, and actually there will be a screening of it on the 16th of November. Yeah, I'll give the details later. This is one of the great of advertise actually that I've done. Usually advertising can be really boring and annoying, but I like that some director and some production take it to the next level by making it look very cinematographic. This was for Sky Österreich and directed by Manes Dur. And they had a folder of like so far 7 or 8 commercials that look super cinematographic. That's also the reason why I cut my hair and dyed blonde, but yeah, it was a beautiful experience. This here, it was an advertisement from Sony. It was also a very beautiful commercial for the industry-leading noise cancelling headphones, directed by David Wilson. And the animation, the technique that they were using, like live-action footage of real people that is combined with animation. The commercial looks very, very artistic in a way, and I think it's beautiful and very enjoyable to watch. And I played the role of a painter in it, and as I was like painting colors in the air, then in the post-production, they made it appear following my finger, and the outcome is really beautiful. And to get this role, I had to be able to move, to dance a little bit. They were not looking for a professional dancer, but someone that was able to move, which make me go to my next point. I'd rather call myself a mover than a dancer, because I did dancing when I was young, but I do not spend 7 hours a day in a studio. That's why I do not have necessarily the skill of a professional dancer, so I like to say that I'm a mover. And I mostly appear in a music video. This music video was for the artist Katarina, who was based in Berlin, but from North Macedonia. And we shot this music video in the Balkan, in North Macedonia, Bosnia, Serbia, because they do have a lot of memorial who are made in the style of brutalistic architecture, which looks super futuristic, and they're surrounded by nature, and it gives a very otherworldly kind of vibe to the video. It's also the first project I did with my partner back in 2019, and this is a little teaser of the video. And my last point is the performing arts. I call it like that because they are obviously job or project where I use everything, the singing part, dancing part, and the acting parts. This photo was taken in the Fata Morgana Gallery in Mitte. My friend Sil, SCH, is the one that made those sculptures, and I was just like dancing and acting. Just basically she put some music and she was like, do your thing, and it ended up in a very beautiful video and photo shoot. Brian Labels, directed by Mira Laline, was a piece, a documentative piece on mixed race experiences with singing, dancing, and acting. Here we got Jota Ramos, and here we have Amovia. Amovia is German, Ghanaian, Jota Ramos is from Brazil, and me, I am French Malian. It was one of the most important projects that I did actually, because I was able to, kind of like what I was explaining you in the beginning. But of course, a lot of mixed race kids are very traumatized from the experience because they sometimes live in a place where they do not belong, where they're not accepted by their communities, and they grew up either wanting to be more white or wanting to be more black. And it can definitely traumatize an individual. It's very hard when you lose track of your identity. So this piece was very, very important. We had very good feedback of people even crying at the end of the piece. And I remember this actually white Polish woman that came to me and is like, even though I'm not Afro-descendant, I could really relate to what you were saying, because as a Polish girl growing up in Germany, there's so many times when I was not accepted for who I was. And I think it's important when you can use art and entertainment to spread important messages. This was the Hoodoo musical in Berlin. It was a production from New Orleans. I am here actually. In this one I was doing backing vocals, dancing, and also acting, but without words. It was a very beautiful project. All the musicians came from Houston, New Orleans, and the performer was casted in Berlin. They wanted to spread the New Orleans culture, which is Zydeco. So this is also where jazz music is born. They wanted to spread this all around Berlin. This was happening in the Spiegelpalast at Zoo, so not so far from here. And the man that produced this show is called Niklas Sample. He's actually the son of Joe Sample from the Crusaders. I don't know if this band tells you anything, but they are the one that made this song. I guess some of you might be familiar with this song. Yes? No? Yes. Cool. All right, now I go to ancestral interconnection, the multidimensional aspect of data, and also the reason why I'm here, because that's how you found out about my work. This was happening in the Haus der Kulturen der Welt. Unfortunately, I do not have better picture. The HKW was doing a whole weekend exhibition that was called Ancestral Immediacy, and the relationship between artificial intelligence and ancestrality. And they contacted me to make a performance. So I gather a team of good friends and great performer. Here we have Nani Kale, who is a healer and a great artist, also part of Sonic Intervention. Here is Zora Snake, one of the best performers that I met in my entire life. He's from Cameroon. And here my partner, Exaucé, who is French-Congolese and also a mind-blowing performer. It was a very conceptual, improvised performance. We told ourselves that Nane will represent Mami Wata, so the water. She's actually wearing the dress that I had in Love. So it's the water, but the water full of plastic. and water is a great data transmitter, actually. Zora was representing, I think that is more ancestral. Exaucé was representing the awakening of the AI. And I was some sort of like a griot, a jelly, but a more futuristic one. Like in West Africa, the griots are the person that are perpetuating the oral tradition. My voice transformer from Roland was stuck here, and I was making a lot of sound. I think it was very disturbing. It was very light and very disturbing. A lot of people told me that they were a little bit confused by it. But the idea was to say that, was kind of a part of it was to talk about all the data pollution, all the digital pollution, everything that we are researching on the internet is actually stocking on the place that is actually contributing to global warming. So the question is, of course, are we able to deal with all the information as well that we are receiving every day? The planet is overeating from here, but also our head is overeating from it. And the access to knowledge is incredible. And it's amazing that nowadays we can access to everything we want through the internet. But it has a price to pay on the other side. And we have incredible technology. But until now, we are still looking for ways, I think, to use it wisely and properly and not harmful for the planet. Ancestral body noise was actually made by here, cultural worker and artist Dumama, who is also part of Sonic Intervention. She's a great artist from South Africa. And we did this 5 weeks, 5 Fridays in a row. We had this workshop that we were doing at Oyun in Neukölln about ancestrality. I love the title, Ancestral Body Noise. It was how to find our ancestry through music, through dance, through practices. Sometimes the exercise that we would do also is just to like imitate a grandfather or an auntie in the way they talk, in the way they were like holding themselves. And at the end, we did this presentation who was like performance/ritual. We didn't really know what would happen. Here you can see that she was cutting hair. Nane also cut herself. We make this altar and all the phones that represent the connection. And actually, when the HKV contacted me, this is a project that I show. And when we did the HKV thing, we were kind of inspired by that project that Dumama created. So here Nane, this friend of mine is the friend that I started my curating career with. She came one day and she was like, well, I have this event idea where I'd like us to share some knowledge, but at the same time present many artists from Berlin, and of course with an after party. And at that time I knew someone that has a little shop in Wedding, a French woman, that welcomed us. But this was like, back to 2019, that's how we started. But the 2 last editions, the 7th and the 8th edition, we got support from Music Board, which was really great and enabled us to make something bigger. So KASAPIO is the event that I curate with Nane that I just explained. Hybrid visual is something, we only did one of it so far, but I really want to do more of it. It's an event that I created with photograph Arnaud Hellé and Seal STH, the artist that I talked about before. It's about all type of like hybrid visual art, from photography to performance to video. The last one we did was around the theme of identity. But KASAPIO is definitely my main project. Lucas said in the beginning, focus on like afro-hybrid, afro-underground, artistic scene in Berlin, and ancestral knowledge, and music. We like to make the sort of events where everybody feel invited, no matter where they're from, no matter their age, because ignorance is definitely something that's killing us. So it's very important to learn about ourselves and learn about the other. So those are some pictures of the event. They were also happening at Oyun in Neukölln. This is a section that we do at the end of the performing section, where we invite two people that don't know each other, two artists that never worked together, and improvise on stage. So here we had Kota Wali, a painter, and then Zaki on the violin. This is the performer Makosi. This is Thomas Presto, a dancer and a researcher from the Netherlands. I could not be here, but we did like a Zoom call for his talk. We always start with either a lecture or a panel talk. And this is Adrian. Here we have Kevin Bo and Khalil. Some of you may know, incredible performers as well. Yeah, this was a panel talk. I think this one was on cellular memory and restitution, and the previous culture, the last culture was about the relationship between androgeneity and African spirituality. Liam. Yeah, I don't know if some of you have seen the movie Neptune Frost. Yes, okay. I don't know if you recognize the main actress here. Yeah, this is her. So a dear friend of mine. We also make music together. She was part of the last edition of Culsup. And she is also, Natasha is also in the movie. It's an incredible movie from Saul Williams that I highly recommend. Morena Leraba from South Africa is one of the most incredible musicians and performance concerts that I saw in my life. Every time I go to his concert, I don't need anything, I just need water, but he takes me to another dimension. I don't know how he does that, but he's really magical. So it's really an honor for me every time to have the possibility to invite those great artists, to give them a stage, and yeah, that the Berlin audience discovered them. We always do also a exhibition, and some merch are available. In this edition of Culture, you can see that everybody is wearing similar pattern. It's actually the brand KASAPIO. We like to style our artists, and this makes me come to my last point, the point of styling. So my partner, Exaucé Existe, is the fashion designer, the creator of this brand. And yeah, they are all wearing it at the moment. And my styling is mostly about glasses and traditional headpieces. Yeah, we really like futuristic glasses. When I was 14, my father brought me from work. I mean, he really doesn't work in eyewear, but they did some sort of event at his work that was related with space, and they gave us those like one-side glasses, and I always kept them, and now my partner and I use it a lot in our aesthetic, and it's also how I style our models. All those headpieces, I got them through different trips. This one is from Morocco, from the Amazigh culture. This one is a Timbuktu cross from the Tuareg culture. This one, actually, my partner brought it from Benin. Yeah, this one is also Amazigh. This was a present, but I believe it comes from Egypt. And this is a little bit more basic, probably from H&M, but it looks very, it really depends how you use the thing, but it looks, yeah, it looks very beautiful. So it's just about putting crowns on everybody, basically. This is a sponge, actually. It's a very common sponge. I wash myself with this kind of sponge. It's very common in West Africa, but in the underground fashion scene in many African countries, you would see that a lot. And those are the glasses I was talking about. Those were the glasses that my dad brought me when I was 14 years old. And yeah, still have them with me, and they're very useful nowadays. I wanted to say a little word about KASAPIO. This is, again, Bingi, Chérie Liseja, the main actress of Neptune Frost, who is also one of our égéries. So my partner, Exaucé Existe, is a performer and a visual artist. He made collage handmade collage. So everything analog, nothing digital. They then scan, and then we print them. And Suleiman Mare, who also did the costume of my music video Love, is the one that cut all the clothes. I'm very fascinated by this brand. I always wanted to be involved in fashion somehow, and I could have never dreamed of a better project. It's full of messages, it's full of sense, it's full of colors. I really love this one, for example. I remember telling Exaucé, it would be nice if you do a collage that represents a lot of like black punk music bands such as Bad Brains or a band called Death and stuff like this. And then he had the idea of like putting those type of pictures with also pictures of traditional African hairstyle, because as you know, the Afro hair is probably the only hair that defies gravity, that stays up, which enabled it to make very crazy hairstyle. And sometimes you look at hairstyles that are older than like 300 years old, but they look so futuristic and they look so modern. And in our nowadays society, we would call it punk or edgy, but in a lot of African culture, those are very ancient and ancestral hairstyles, so it was interesting to make the relation to it. Yeah, these are the upcoming events. I mentioned before, on the 16th of 11, the Indigo short film will be screened at International Film Festival. I will play with Exaucé at Cinema Transphobia. We were supposed to play with Bingi, but she's based in Rwanda, and unfortunately she didn't get a visa. That's what happened with so many incredible artists that cannot come perform in Europe because of visa bullshit, technically. On the 20th of November, I will be playing with Sonic Intervention. I have a gig in Leipzig on the 24th of 11. And on the 26th of 11, I'm giving a workshop at the Deutsches Theater with my vocal machine on basically how to get creative with your work, with your voice. This is my Instagram, Tiskin, some of the most curious one of yours. And now to finish, I would like to project the music video Love that I talked about in the beginning, if we still have time.
liquid pill. Get your high, high. Get your bed wet. Gonna get you high, high. Gonna take your hand and fly. Gonna pray and reach the sky till we find ourselves in some past life. With you I live. Gonna get to spend some dreams. Gonna try to find myself. Gonna try to be the best. Gonna try to prove my love, even if it's strong. It's not enough, don't get me wrong, baby. You and I gonna make it last no matter what the people say they hate it. Gonna rob the fresh museums. Give out the history they stole. Together we're strong. I got my love, I got my fresh museums. Together we're strong.
Thank you very much. Here we can go.
Maybe I'll put this here in the back. So, Astan, thank you so much. Please, you can go in the spotlight, literally speaking. For this presentation, thank you all for being here. Also, just noticed, apart from a full room, there's also another 60 people watching online.
60?
16.
Okay.
So there's a lot of interest.
Nice.
This is question round. If you know me, then I always say there's no such thing as a stupid question. Don't be afraid. You can ask. It's all good. But I'll start to break the ice. I have a lot of questions I could ask, but I would like to start with your method of working. And because I'm always curious how creative cultural producers work, like literally what's your methodology? How do you approach things? How do you start? How do you finish? What's the struggle in between? So that more general, and then connected to the obvious flirtation with collage, like the idea of collage, cutting up, remixing, which appears in the fashion pieces, in the videos, what you're wearing, in all the work that you do, like just taking things out of context, creating new meanings, etc. So maybe that's my answer to my question of what your approach is already, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit, on your own methodology and the importance of the remix, the cut up, the collage for you.
First of all, when it comes to the collage work of the fashion brand, this is really something that my partner is doing. I just assist him a little bit in the artistic direction, but I do, like when it comes to like collage on the literal definition of it, I'm not involved in that. But my method, my work method, actually, it's really, it always changes. Like when it comes, I'm inspired by so many things, so many platforms from so many other people. I think I definitely still in the process where I need more organization. I have not really put a word here on a certain work method. But I don't know, like for example, to write a song, it's an event that really moved me in my life and makes me write, or someone that approached me and wants to do this kind of work, but it's always start from a words, from an idea, and then it becomes a song, and it becomes a video, and the same. Maybe sometimes I start the idea alone, and it's really about gathering with other people that can maybe bring the other elements that I cannot bring myself. So I really like the collaboration aspect of it as well. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your questions, but...
Yeah, but maybe also to follow up, because that would be the next one, then it's you guys, no? But collaboration, because that's key, no? There was basically all the projects are collaborative projects. That's something I'm trying to bring across here as well. It's very important to collaborate. It's also a tricky business, no? It can work very well, it can also totally not work.
Exactly.
But what has been your biggest learning in working with so many different fellow artists and creatives? Or what's your approach to that collaboration?
I would say kill your ego, first of all. I think the hardest actually has been to work with my partner, because when it's your partner, there's other feelings that are involved. But when you find yourself in a room where there are so many other interesting and talented artists, I think it's very important to tell yourself that, okay, I know things, but I also don't know anything, and it's nice to learn from scratch and to be very open and to listen one another, and to remember that it's not a competition. It's a teamwork, and it's something that we are here for the same reason. You know, no matter what your position is in the project, we are here. We all want the same outcome, basically. Not taking things personal, also when it comes to work, but really be open for the advices and the suggestion. And if one thing doesn't work, let us not make a big deal about it, and let's just go to the next one. Also, when you do collaboration for music video, for example, if I had the budget and I would pay everyone, I would say, okay, everybody do what I want to do. But when you have, for example, every time I work with a director, we were sharing budgets. Therefore, they also have their word to say. But sometimes it can be a little bit tricky because we do not agree on everything. But somehow, so far, we always find we always make good compromise, and it worked because we are listening to each other a lot, and we are respecting each other's works, and always try to see the bigger picture.
Listening is a key word here. Okay, guys, how about you? Any first questions? As banal as they may seem. Yes, thank you. I will repeat them for our online audience, but you go first.
Thank you very much for doing your work. I'm very fascinated by this afro-futuristic aesthetic, which is kind of combining what seems perhaps somehow contradictory, like the ancestrality and the technology, the futuristic view. And I would be really curious to hear about your feelings, or how you were introduced to this, and if you can explain actually what is it for you?
Maybe before, just for the online audience, because the recording might not be loud enough. So the question, very simply put, what is Afrofuturism to you, and how did you kind of get introduced to it, and how do you work with it?
So thank you for your question. Afrofuturism actually to me is very connected to ancestrality. There are some theory that say that past, present, future are happening at the same time, or that everything that is happening already happened. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from the past, or we should take from the past to make a better future. For example, somebody talked about Star Wars before, and I think it's very interesting in Star Wars how it looks like it's happening in the future when you see their technology. But when you see their clothes and their matter and their habit, it looks also very ancient. And I think it's like they have found the perfect like middle of like what's ancient and what's modern. When it comes to Afrofuturism, I think when I got introduced to it, I was seeing maybe some pictures on Instagram, and obviously in 2016 I got introduced to the jazz musician Sun Ra. Most of you may know here. And I don't think that he was considering himself as an Afrofuturist, but nowadays people say that he's one of the figures that represent it. And in his aesthetic, in his music, it's a lot about that. But he's very inspired by ancient Egypt. So I think Afrofuturism is really about taking the past and put it in the future. But at the end of the day, Afrofuturism is a peaceful future for black person in the world initially. And in this movie, Space is the Place, also from Sonra, that I really recommend if you haven't seen it. He's coming to the States and taking every black person to space. And that's why he says space is the place, because he said, we do not exist in this society, so let's go to space because that's where we are supposed to be. So yeah, it's a peaceful future. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you for the question and the answer. Another question from you guys. Yes, in the very back. I'll repeat the question again, and that's a very good question. That was also what I was curious about regarding the method. So how do you balance, how do you manage your time with so many different fields of interest and so many different practices? Is there that you kind of only work in a certain period of time only on music and then only on visual parts, or like how do you, like, very practically speaking, manage your time in the creative process? Correct?
Thank you for your question. Well, also regarding the fact that I'm a mom, so basically it's kind of crazy. They're working all the time, but I have a very supportive partner who is also an artist and works all the time, so we are managing our time as we can. But I'll say that my main solo project, my main project is my music, but it's not the project that generates the most money at the moment. What generates the most money is the other acting jobs. And the acting jobs, I do not really control where they come. They come where they come. If I make a casting, if like a creator approach me and it works or it doesn't work. But probably what I put the most time on working on is the music, because music is a lot of time that you need to invest before making it, whatever making it means to you. But it's a lot of work at home, on like writing, practicing, creating, and this takes me maybe the most time, but it's not what brings me the most money. So yeah, I'll say, and when it comes to styling, that's definitely an unpaid job. Like that's something that I do in the meantime, in my free time. The only time when we got paid for that, it's when we dressed an upcoming TV show that will be on CDF about the voguing scene in Berlin. And they have an Afro-futuristic ball, so they contacted us for the clothes. But other than that, it's more in my free time, let's say. That's also a project where we are investing for the future. But yeah, I probably spend the most time on developing my singing persona.
Thank you. Can I throw in a follow-up question? Then this gives you time to think. Speaking of singing persona, you had so many nice genres that you came up with. I wrote them down. There's futuristic folklore, there's ancient future groove, and there's gangsta jazz. So you gotta elaborate on that shit.
Yeah.
So what's up?
So yeah, gangsta jazz is because I love jazz. Like I'm a big fan of Sarah Vaughan, for example, because she has a very low voice, and I have a very low voice as well that I got from my mom. And it was very nice because I never have the very high, pretty, feminine voice. And when I discover artists like that, I'm like, wow, this is exactly how I could sound. But when I was young, I was very inspired by, you name it, Queen Latifah, Lil Kim, and all those badass bitches. And that's how I started to write, actually. And I'm also very inspired by artists like Fela Kuti, who does this practice of like singing and talking. I really like the storytelling, I very like the slam, and the voice can also be a drum in a way. And I call it gangsta jazz because, yeah, I mean, rap and jazz is a genre that I've been done since the 80s. I've been done a lot, it's nothing new. But since those are some of my most favorite genre. And also it's important, maybe as a singer, sometimes to have some sort of story and identity. I was like, okay, let me develop something around gangsta jazz. It sounds pretty good. And when it comes to ancient future grooves, that's what we do mainly with sonic interventions, because we are all we are like a band of like 14 people. So when we are on stage, there are 3 singers and all the rest are musicians. The energy is crazy. It's like those bands from the 70s, but we are all using voice transformer and machines that makes it more futuristic in a way. And yeah. That's where the mix comes from, basically.
Nice, thank you. Okay, yes, I have 2 questions. First over there, and then you.
Especially regarding music, like when do you decide when it's done? Because at least for me, I make completely different genre, like not even related, but it can sometimes overdo it, you know, when you make something good and then you just keep on working on it and then ruin it. But like when do you stop? When you decide that it's enough?
I'll repeat the question again. It's a very nice question. It goes for every practice in the room. No, it doesn't have to be music. The question was, when do you know that a piece is done? This is with regards to music, but this goes for an architectural design, for a fashion piece, for a paint, anything, for a text that you write. Like that's the one big question.
For real. Oh yeah, thank you for that question. And actually, I feel like it's never done sometimes. But you need to release it at some point, you know, because otherwise it's gonna stay forever on your hard drive. But it could, you know, like for example, when it comes to Dang Dang, when it came out, I worked on it so much. I redid the first verse so much. I was like, oh my god. But at some point, the song was done, and people were like, it's ready. You need to take it out. But I took it out, the music video was ready and everything, but at the beginning I could not hear the song. I was like, oh my god, it's out to the world, but it's not ready. But by keep on listening to it, and also, yeah, it's weird, but by getting feedback, positive feedback from people, I was like, no, actually the song is ready. But I have friends of mine that never take their stuff out. So now I feel like the more I'm going into my practice and the more I know how I want to sound, so then I can say, okay, this is ready. This is exactly how I want. In the production wise, this is exactly how I want to sound. And I think probably the more you practice and the more you get to knowing exactly what you want. But it could definitely go on together, and go on forever. And it's a question of feeling. At some point, I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel like, okay, now it's time to release it. It sounds good, so yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I would add to that too. So it's actually nothing is ever finished, and kind of realizing that is quite a relief, honestly speaking. No.
Yeah.
So it is not. You had a question.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the 3rd row, and I'm looking at your dress all the time, and I see kind of references from all the different cultures, probably in the whole world, and
from all the what? Sorry.
The whole world.
So many cultural references. I'm just really curious what's up with the brand, because you showed other pictures of black punk bands, and really it just seems really interesting to me, the concept behind the aim.
Repeated, sorry. Good question. I was also super intrigued from the first moment. The question was about the dress or the fashion that you showed from your partner, and with all these different cultural references that appear from, I don't know, now ancient Egypt to black punk bands like the Bad Brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for your question. The aim of the brand is, I think it's to deliver messages, it's also to educate. Like we speak a lot about cultural appropriation. I like to speak about cultural appreciation because I like to live in a world where you can wear anything you want. It should not be based upon where you're from if it comes with a matter of respect. But cultural appropriation is real, and it has caused a lot of damage. For example, when you take a band called Death, who is actually the first punk band that ever existed, it's not even the first black punk band, it's the first punk band that ever existed, and nobody knows this. And people will always give this genre to the white communities, which has happened with many other genres, such as house music or rock and roll. And I think, and also even for the, like for example, this dress is called She Knows, I think, where is she? I think that's her. She's looking at all her ancestry and all her heritage. I think in the 60s, the Senegalese researcher and scientific Cheikh Anta Diop, I don't know if you're familiar with him, was the first one actually to prove in France, actually, or in Europe, either France or Belgium, I think it was France, it was the first to prove that the first Egyptians were black Kemites, and so many people thought they were white, or maybe the white supremacists wanted to put in the head of the people that incredible creation who are the basis of our civilization couldn't have made work done by black people, and they didn't want to give this to the black people because it was something so great, and at that time there were colonization, slavery had passed and everything, so it was really important to brainwash the people in a way that would be helpful for them, you know, to control us even better. So I think when he does a piece like that, it's just, says remember your ancestry, remember where we're from, remember where the things come from, but you can wear it no matter where you're from, because we appreciate you wearing our tradition, we appreciate you wearing our art, and when it's done with a matter of respect, it's beautiful. So yeah, it's about sharing knowledge and looking cool as fuck.
Really nice one. And also you said earlier, and I really like that one, when you said the hairdressers, putting a crown on everyone. It's such a nice, nice philosophy, putting a crown on each one of your heads.
Yes.
Maybe one more question.
So you growing up in this mixed race environment, did you have situations where people try to put you into like teams or categories, and how do you react in those situations, kind of being the position of a diplomat, communicator between the lines? What's your message then? Like, how do you, because there are those people who try to separate it.
I know.
You can also repeat the question, by the way, or should I?
Oh, you can.
Okay.
Good idea.
No, asking like how was it for you? Because you mentioned earlier growing up with a mixed heritage. What position were you in? Where you tried to be put in certain boxes or categories, or were you more the medium, the communicator in between, or the diplomat, as you said it?
Yeah. Thanks for your question. It happened a lot actually through my childhood, through my teenagehood. Sometimes it was done in a mean way, sometimes it was done in a nice way, but still it was clumsy. Every time I go to Africa, people see me as white most of the time, and here in Europe, people see me as black. So I had moments, for example, when I was eating at my auntie on my African side, and everybody was eating with the hand, but she directly gave me a spoon because she thought I was too white for this thing, you know. But it was not made in a mid-way. She thought it would be more comfortable for me. Or when I grew up also, and I was dating all kind of men, doesn't matter if they were white or black, and I had a white boyfriend at that time, and a black friend of mine told me like, no, you're black, you need to date black men. What are you doing with those white boys and stuff? People always want to choose for you, and sometimes people tell me, oh, you obviously choose your black side. And I'm like, no, it's not because I'm talking about Afrofuturism and then my man is black, my baby is black, that I choose my black side. Because when I say I choose my black side, I feel like I'm rejecting my dad. And my dad is an incredible white man who gave me a positive image of the white man since I was young. So even though a lot of white men are fucking up this world, I know that it's positive. I know that it's possible to have like positive white men figures, like it is. But some people don't know it because they were traumatized their whole life and they only have bad experience with white people, you know. So, and therefore they are very radical. But I do not judge them because I understand where it comes from. But I just want to show them, hey, it's possible. And every time something like this would happen to me, my parents have done such a great work of explaining me who I was, that I was protected. I was really protected, and it could affect me a little bit, but never too deep inside because I knew where I was from. Therefore, I'm very thankful for what they did. And I think every parent who have mixed race child should really consider that, to really explain them, hey, you're black, but you're also white. It's part of you, it's both, and it's a beautiful thing. You are a bridge between two worlds. That's really how I feel. So yeah, thanks to them, I never got too hurt by those events.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing here. If there's a really urgent question, we have space for one more. Otherwise, I come to the final question that's always the same for each invited guest. Then I come to the final question. And no, before I do that, I would like to also in the sense of collaboration, because I forgot that last time. So I have a task for you, apart from the reflection, before we come to the end, that today you speak to someone in this room, those who have been here before, they know this game, that you don't know yet. You're all studying, probably. Most of you are from the UDK, but turn around, approach, because probably in clusters, you guys study together, you guys know each other, probably? Yes? But you're not allowed to leave the campus before having introduced yourself to someone you don't know that's in this room, okay?
Nice.
Okay? Talking about building bridges.
Nice.
So, having set the road for a new bridge, now, not now, you can talk, you can talk afterwards. Coming now to the final question for Astan. And that is, I don't know, you have a final piece of advice that you would like to share, something that you've learned or an advice that you've gotten from someone else, but for all these, becoming cultural producers, creatives, wherever they come from, wherever they will go, do you have an advice you would like to share?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe already stuff that you already heard, but really authenticity is the key. Like, don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. And I'm also saying this to myself. That's something that we need to repeat. Don't lose your time on comparing yourself. I know the human being needs to compare themselves because we need to understand. But, sometimes I think that I'm too old, or I started too old, but what does it mean? Those are only society's brainwashing. So, like, follow your heart. You're very lucky to be in a country where you have so many possibilities. I hope that all of you is passionate by what they studies. Never be afraid also to break barriers. Try to do, I think every day is hard, but try to do regularly something that gets you out of your comfort zone, because this is how you discover yourself also the most. Don't be afraid for the unknown, and use your art to speak. Use the platform that you've been given to change the world. It's very important. I don't know what you're going to do later, but there's going to be so many people, so many young people that are going to listen to you, that will look up to you and be like, oh my God, I want to be like him, I want to be like her. So please take this opportunity to spread important information to heal this world, basically, because love is really taken for granted, it's really underrated, but the world needs more healers, and art is an art form it is a healing form in itself. So yeah, and be you, love yourself, and spread the love around yourself. It's really important.
It's worth a warm applause.
Yeah. Yeah, and stay united also. Like, stay united. Don't be afraid to discover people from different horizons. We're different, but we're same. So yeah.
Before you guys get up, you made such a nice entree to, again, the healing part of the arts. Mm-hmm. Most of you are joining both lectures. So next week on Monday, we will see us in this room for the Healing Arts lecture series. The week after, we will be back here with Juxtaposition and Sarah Farina. Thank you all for being here. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
No, stay soft-hearted and hard-headed. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Astan.
Lucas. Thank you.
Have a wonderful Monday evening and a good start into the week.
Thank you.